Wisdom is not just learning from your mistakes, it's learning from others' mistakes. Now, I've made a lot of mistakes in businesses. I've had quite a few successes, but I've probably had more failures than successes. But failure is not a failure, it's a learning curve, it's school fees. I've learned so many things of what not to do that I now know what to do. And that's kind of the idea. Don't build your primary business through social media. Now, this is kind of really important because if I chat to a lot of young people, they just want to be influencers. I want to leverage social media. What is leverage? Leverage is using something else to produce something else. So if I leverage in property, I use a bank money to leverage. I buy a property for £100,000. It only costs me £10,000 of my own money because I've leveraged 90%. I've used the bank's money to buy that asset, for example. Now, if the property went up 10%, it went up 10% of the 100,000 that I paid for it. So I put in 10,000, but it went up 10,000. So I've used leverage, the 90,000 from the bank, to create 100% return on the 10,000 I put in. That's leverage. You see, if I put in the 100,000 into the property of cash and I got 10% growth, I would have used no leverage, but there would be less risk, absolutely, but there'd be no leverage, and I'd receive a 10% return on the 100,000 I put in. But if I put 10,000 and I leveraged 90%, I would get 100% return on the 10,000. That's leverage. When you leverage something for a business, you leverage other people's time. You bring them in, they're swapping their time for money, and they're hopefully producing more money for you. That's leverage, okay? That's how we do that. So also, when you're using social media to leverage and get your clients, you're building estates. You basically have a landlord, if that makes sense. The social media is the platform. Your platform's built on their platform. Whatever they decide to do affects you directly. They can block you, they can cut you, you own them, they can charge you. If your business is built on their platform and that is your only source of income, you're building a house of cards that's due to collapse. You're subject to them. Their platform is your thing. So the idea is, yes, you can leverage social media, build a business, but the goal is to get your clients to come off social media to you through an email or something. So you have their direct details. You put them to your podcast, that they become your podcast subscribers. You need a way that if this disappeared, you still have a business. A lot of people build social media followings of 3-5 million people and they start making really good money. But the second something happens and that social media company cancels you, if you haven't built this down here, you're out of business the next day. You don't want to do that. Use the social media, leverage it massively, but then build a business here that you have the personal details, the contacts through a podcast, through an email subscription, ebooks, email lists. It's old school, nobody likes it anymore, but it's valuable because that becomes your property. When you build a platform on social media, it's their property. So don't do that. Don't do it, but do it carefully. That's a better way to say it. I've already spoken about using leverage. Use other people's platforms, other people's Twitter, YouTube. Do cross-promotional work. If you approach other people in Facebook, say, can I do a guest blog on your thing? You can do one on mine. So leverage other people's platforms. He's got 5,000 people that follow him. You've got 5,000 people that follow you. You say, listen, bud, why don't we collaborate? You do something, I'll introduce you to my 5,000 followers. I do something, you introduce me to your 5. Maybe we each get 10, and build like that and start building your leverage like that. Do everything with excellence. That's the key ingredient. Excellence is everything. If you don't do something with excellence, people are going to be like, bro, you're not a business. Credibility. Do credibility. Credibility is everything in a service and a product. If you're trying to create a service, make sure you look the part. Have a website. Have an email address that's linked to your website, not to a Gmail address. Have a landline. Have a cell phone number. Have signage on your van, proper signage on your car, your van. Have a logo on your shirt. Be credible. When you start a business, your biggest stumbling block is not being credible. People don't know they can trust you. Make something that makes people think, wow, these people have put massive effort in. Have an online presence, that if there's a problem, they can write a review about you that sucks. You know, be out there, create a credibility that people feel like you've taken away the risk. The last thing you want in a service or a product business is a customer to feel like they bought your product or they bought your service and it was useless and they have no recourse and they have no way of coming back. That'll severely limit the prices you can charge. You know, if your service has no recourse and the customer has no right to complain or write a bad review about you, they will never pay you top dollar. You know, if you want top things, then you need to do that. One of the things you need to do is you need to get an accountant. Now, accountant, everyone's like, oh, I can't afford an accountant. Well, then you can't afford to have a business yet. You know, you can get accountants for about $40 a month, $45 a month. You need to, Kofi from our church is a great accountant in the UK. It's £45 a month for your business. It's worth every cent you'll ever pay. You know, it cost us £6,000 1 year because we didn't have an accountant. Had we had an accountant that was good, we would have picked up the mistake. It would have been £6,000 richer. I realized many years ago that accountants pay for their fees 100 times, pretty much. Do things where the barrier to entry is low and work at the best, you know, work to be the best and the cream rises to the top. Why do I say that? Is the barrier to entry is very low. If you're doing stuff on social media, the barrier to entry is very low. Don't try as your first business to do something where the barrier of entry is very high. In other words, if I wanted to start, I want to found this product, I think it's great, it's going to be amazing, people are going to buy it because it's brilliant, but it's going to cost me £100,000 to develop it, to get it made, to manufacture it. I have to order 10,000 to start with. So the barrier to entry is very high, but the risk is very high. You know, so in a way, your competitors can't really compete with you at that level, but you haven't really proved that there is a business there. So start in something where the barrier to entry is very low. So like an online business that you can sell through Etsy, sell through eBay, sell through Amazon, you know, and then start to tweak and tweak and tweak and then differentiate yourself from the rest through profits that come in. But don't try and start something that costs you a lot where the barrier of entry is very high and only a few people succeed in that. Don't start there, because the failure rate's high and it can literally be suicide for your first business. Do not start something that's going to cost mega money to get off the ground as your first business venture. It's a recipe for disaster. You know, what I got here, be a sponge and become an expert in your field. Ask people, learn, listen to podcasts, read books, listen to audiobooks. Become an expert at what you do. The better you are at what you do, the more money people will pay you to do what you do. Become a sponge. If you want to succeed, you have to learn. However you learn, that's best for you. For me, it's audio and video. I learn very well like that. I don't learn that well at reading. I can, but I find it very tedious and tiring and long. But I'm like a sponge. I want to learn about everything all the time, because that's how you succeed. Become an expert. The more expert you become, the more people will pay you. Specialize. You know, the Americans have a saying that the riches are in the niches. And it's so true. You know, there's a niche that might seem so random, but there's real wealth there if you become an expert and you mine that niche out. You know, general people generally just add nothing of value. Specialists get specialized money. You know, the specialist who knows how to fix something that's very, very specific can suddenly charge £10,000 an hour rather than £10 an hour, because there's no one else who knows how to do it. And once you become that guy, you can exchange your time for money, but then your time is super valuable, because your biggest asset is actually your time. It's not money, it's time. One of the things I've got as well is like, what is the biggest expense you'll ever expend in your life? A lot of people say it's the house. It's not, it's tax. Tax is by far your biggest expense in life. You need to understand tax, and you need to work out how do you mitigate tax. I'm not talking about doing anything dodgy. You do everything legally, get an accountant, but understand tax. Structure your business in such a way that it's very tax efficient, so that you buy stuff before you pay tax, as opposed to buying stuff pre-tax or post-tax. You know, you want to buy pre-tax, not post-tax. Most people earn a salary, pay all their tax, and then they buy everything they need. When you run a business, you can buy everything you need. It becomes a business expense. It becomes before tax, and then you pay tax on what's left. It's a huge difference. That'll make you wealthy just doing that. So you need to understand tax. Think different. You know, See what your competitors are doing and see what they're lacking and start being good in that area. But also think different. I mean, look at the low-hanging fruit. Maybe you want to start 10 businesses that have the potential to make £500 a month, to make £5,000 a month. It might be easier to start 10 small businesses that make 500 a month than it is to start one big business that makes £5,000 a month. That's repeatable consecutively every month, certainly without you working. Most businesses that are established are not going to run after the fruit that earns them 500 a month, because there's quite a lot of hassle for that. They're like, why would we do that? It's $500 a month. I know when I started my handyman business, I was trying to rank on Google for keywords that were getting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 searches a month. And it became like a full-time job just doing that. And then suddenly it dawned on me. It's like, wow, just go after the keywords where there are 10 people a month looking after them. And instead of trying to chase one keyword that has 1,000 hits a month, chase 10 keywords that have 100, or chase 100 keywords that have 10. You still get to the 1,000, but there's no competition, because the guys that are working full-time are not going after 10 people, they're going after 1,000 people. So all of a sudden I went after 10 keywords that have between sort of 10 and 50 people a month looking for them, and suddenly we had 800-900 inquiries a year, because it was just like boom, boom, boom. There was the business, low-hanging fruit. It was super easy. And it was like a once-off thing, worked for a couple of days to get ranking there, and it paid off for years, because the other guys just didn't want to go after that low-hanging fruit, because it's not worth their time chasing 20 people. But for me, 20 people times 10 was 200 people. It was brilliant. Hire in or outsource your weakness and duplicate yourself. Now, some people say, I need to work on my weaknesses. No, you need to work on your strengths. Don't become the best person at the weakest thing. It's just stupid. Like for me, I suck at admin and accounting and all that kind of stuff. I don't do any of that stuff. Tammy, my wife, is brilliant at admin, so she handles all the administration. I don't do accounting, so my accountant handles all that. I'm good at the business stuff. I'm good at getting the business, doing that stuff. That's what I go after. I get the investors, I get the business. That's what I'm good at. So I do the things I'm good at and I do it well, and everything else I hire in. Be it outsourced, Fiverr, workup, all the rest of the things you need to do that. Don't try and become good at something you're bad at and get better, because at best you will be mediocre. Find somebody who's the best at admin and they do your admin, and you do the thing that you are best at, because you will never beat the best when you are super average at best, trying to be your best, if that makes sense. I've got your NB. Very important. Find the buyer before you sell it. Don't try and sell something and then find the buyer. Find what people are looking for and get them the thing they're looking for. That's how your business succeeds. If you're trying to start a garden business, look, are there people searching for garden businesses in your area? Are there people looking for gardeners? Are there people looking for landscaping? If they're not, what is related to landscaping that they are looking for? Is there any search volume for water features? So then your work comes through water features. If that's the only thing that people are searching for on Google, then become the water feature specialist who also does landscaping and gardening. Because once you're in the door with a customer, it's easy to expand the door. So you come in doing a water feature, and then you do all their landscaping as well, and you become the man. Now you're not competing with any clients, any other competitors. That's what you do. You need to find what people are looking for, meet that need, and stop trying to create a need and hoping people will meet it. That makes sense? That's easy. No business is perfect. Every business will have elements that you love and elements that you suck at. A lot of people say, I want to work for myself. When you work for yourself, you don't truly work for yourself, because there's always somebody you're accountable to. If you work for yourself, maybe you've got a client that you've got to deal with. Maybe you've got an investor that you have to deal with. Nobody truly works for themselves. There's good and bad elements to every single business. The other thing I've got is don't give up.